Good day, my name is Bluesuit and today I'll be going over my review of the early access dungeon crawling story driven tactical RPG known as the Iron Oath. In the Iron Oath, you play as the leader of your very own mercenary company as you travel the lands of Calum in search of riches, renown, and revenge. Getting off to a rather slow start, it takes its time in the early game, explaining the myriad of mechanics at work here, while setting up the story of your tale of betrayal and a big dragon that summons the undead every few decades. Currently, the main campaign doesn't have a conclusion at this stage of early access, but there are still no shortage of quests to sink your teeth into. The dynamic questing system here revolves around your reputation, and since you have a different reputation score in each of the game's towns, the ones that like you will offer you better quests and prices on goods. Each town also has the culture that they're a part of, which you'll have your own relationship with as well, whether positive or negative. It's a great mechanic for making your world feel unique to the actions that you take, and I'm definitely excited to see it expanded on in the future with more boons from the nations and cities that really like you, possibly even with character classes that are unique to that nation. Right now there are 6 playable classes, which doesn't seem like much, but their unique skills will set them apart. Each class has a passive ability like the Stormcaller, who stuns enemies after attacking the same one 3 times, and then they randomly start with 2 of their 6 abilities unlocked, with more becoming available as they level up. Also, I didn't realize this, but while writing this review, I found out that you can customize the name and look of each of your mercenaries by clicking on this little wrench next to their name. And I personally love this because these characters become part of the story, and it warms my heart that little village children will be saved by a pyro lancer named Poopy Doodoo Head. The overall writing and dialogue is fantastic and is presented in a way that makes me feel like I'm sitting around a D&D table listening to a GM weave my characters into their overarching story. Even each character's backstory on their bio page is procedurally generated to try to bring them to life within the game world. The only drawback to the characters at this point is that their skills all have these nice little skill trees, but half of them are all still currently under development, as to be expected with early access. Drawing heavy inspiration from other tactical RPGs, the Iron Oath feels a lot like the bloody offspring of Pathfinder and Darkest Dungeon in a lot of ways. From Darkest Dungeon, it really takes a lot of the dungeon crawling gameplay loop. You'll head to the nearest inn to recruit your troops, travel through dungeons tile by tile, some of which contain battles, and kill the boss at the end. You can even set up camp in a dungeon to rest and relax and improve morale, which is the Iron Oath's version of stress. From Pathfinder, there are a lot of great similarities here as well, not only in the overworld map movement and storytelling, but in battle there are a lot of mechanics like cover, line of sight, and attacks of opportunity that have become staples of tactical games. What's special about the Iron Oath is how it takes these genres and merges them into a unique and fulfilling experience by improving on these systems with added depth and layering them over a great story with killer pixel art and animations. Combat offers plenty of challenge and satisfaction, with loads of different enemy types and status effects to watch out for, as well as several environmental hazards to push or pull your foes into for extra damage. For more hardcore players, there are even fully customizable difficulty options to tailor your experience to your own personal preferences. The one downside here though is that there doesn't seem to be a way to change these settings once you've started a game. This was a bit unfortunate for me because the default setting is Adventurer mode, which I later realized stood for Easy mode, and I ended up starting over because the battles really weren't all that challenging. Right now there are about 50 different enemies in the game for you to bring to a bloody death, and fighting with them is really great because of how brutal some of these animations are, especially when you kill a boss or the last enemy of a fight and their body splits into a dozen pieces and spills across the map. There are, however, a couple aspects of the Iron Oath that I'm not really pleased with in its current state, and the first is the UI. It's altogether cumbersome to navigate as there are menus within menus. This is most prevalent on the character sheets, where each member is under the team page, and then their gear and abilities and attributes are all on separate pages within that, and then each of those pages have sub-pages and so on. And the other is in the merchant screen, where you really can't see what your team currently has equipped while buying new gear, so you're constantly going back and forth between these cumbersome menus until your entire dozen or so person team is equipped. This really brings me to my second major gripe about the Iron Oath, and that's in its gear system. Not only in buying and equipping gear, as I mentioned, but gear has durability and will eventually break after about 15 to 20 missions. What's worse is that there isn't a way to repair the gear, so the only option is to sell it and buy new stuff constantly. It's a feature that doesn't deepen the game in any meaningful way and really becomes a nuisance when you're managing a company of 15 mercenaries and you're trying to keep them all geared. You can pick up the Iron Oath right now on Steam for 20 bucks. But as with most day one early access titles, it's not going to be worth quite that much right away. There is some seriously great storytelling at work here with fun battles and a collision of two great genres, but in its current state, it doesn't take all that long to run out of fresh content before you find yourself endlessly grinding away at procedurally generated side quests. With that in mind, I'm valuing the Iron Oath at $18, and I definitely recommend that fans of tactical RPGs pick it up at some point, even if it's not right away. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Iron Oath. Come see me on Twitch where you can watch our reviews in progress. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Until next time.